player, but will the midfielder be a success on Merseyside? We'll discuss that and loads more. We've got a packed show ahead. Reports over Alexander Isak's future have intensified this morning. Will he ever play for Newcastle again? And Marc Guehi is a man in demand. Crystal Palace owner Steve Parish admits they may be forced to sell the defender. There's another big story concerning Alexander Isak. The Athletic and David Ornstein this morning are reporting that the player is adamant that he will not play for Newcastle again, even if the window closes. So interesting developments, according to David Ornstein. How does Eddie Howe deal with the situation now that this information has come out?
It's very, very difficult for him. I'm sure Eddie would have liked to have held on to Isak and then had a few players, but when you hear news like that, is there any coming back from it? Possibly not. I think it's hard. I think it's now managing the situation and probably I think they'll let Isak go maybe on their terms when they've got a few players in and they feel like the squad's where they want it at. But if this news is right, it's gonna be really difficult for them, and you know, especially a big year with them in Champions League and all. It's a tough one for the whole club and the fans to take.
I know you almost overlapped with Isak, didn't you, at Newcastle? You didn't really have much interaction with him, but it does seem a bit out of character. Does his behaviour and this stance he's taking, does it surprise you? Yeah, from what I know of players there who are friends with him, it's definitely out of character. It's something you don't expect from, I'd say, a lot of players. But you know, when a big club, don't get me wrong, Newcastle are massive, but when a club like Liverpool have come in with the price tag as well, you know, there's not many ways you can sort of force your way out of a club, and it seems like he's picked this one, and that's the route he's going down, which, you know, will be hard to accept for everyone who's you know, a Newcastle fan or players.
And Jeff, look, Eddie Howe spoke, didn't he? I think it was last week, and said that certain players have been affected by the situation with Alexander Isak. As a player who's been in dressing rooms with, I'm assuming, players who have probably had similar situations where their heads turned. How hard is it for you, being part of that current squad, to continue to just go on as normal when one of your star players is refusing to play for the club again? Yeah,
it's tough, but I think footballers, you're with each other every day. You understand if that's the stance he's took, you know, you accept it. You probably won't see him day to day in any way where he'd be training away from the group. But, you know, if things were to turn around and he wasn't to go, I think, you know, after a couple of days, the lads, they'll take him back in. They know he's going to be great for the club as well. So, you know, they'd be hoping that Newcastle can hold on to him, and then, you know, they'll make up and they'll get playing games together. And like I said, you're there with each other every day. You're not going to hold a grudge and not talk to him for the rest of the season.
So is it that simple? It's just like, you know, like almost like friends falling out, little fallout, couple of days,
yeah,
dust settled,
kiss and make up,
back in.
Yeah, I think they'll be okay, yeah.
Okay.
But you've actually had, I don't like using this term, but, you know, the bomb squad, I'm sure you don't refer to it as that when you're on it, but you've had experience of that, haven't you, in Newcastle, when you had to train with the under-21. So, you know, what is that like when you're forced to do that? Do you have any contact with the other players, with the manager? Does it feel like you're not part of the club? How does it feel?
Yeah, it is difficult. You're part of the club, but you're not. You know, like, obviously my situation was a lot different to Isak's, where I'm sure they'd be still wrapping him in cotton wool a little bit, whether if he's going to do the transfer, they'll need him to be fit, or else if he's going to come, they're going to do a U-turn and he's going to play for the club, they'll need him fit again. But yeah, you're down sort of with the 21s. You're training with the kids, as you'd say. The staff are lovely down there, to be fair, but for me, it's like I had a few other players alongside me there, so we're all in the same situation. There's some days it's difficult mentally to just go in and train. So I don't know how it's going to be for him if he's on his own doing that sort of stuff. So it could be tough, yeah.
Well,
Yeah, what will he be doing then right now? Will he just be training by himself, do you think? Will he be with his own fitness guy? Will he be with club staff? How will it be working?
Yeah, it was quite loose with us, so you could join in training if you wanted, or you could have a running session or stay in the gym. It's sort of totally up to you. So I don't know how his injury is, or if he has his own staff that have come in with him. But yeah, it'll be sort of his decision.
Okay, and I guess you want to stay fit, don't you? So he'll want to do as much work as he can. We'll keep you updated as to anything that happens on the Isak front, but we're hearing from David Ornstein anyway that he has told Newcastle that he's adamant he will not play for them again, even if the window closes. Better news for Newcastle is we're expecting news on Malik Thiaw's move from AC Milan to the club. He's been having a medical, the defender who's on the verge of joining. James, what can you tell us about this? And is this an area that Newcastle have probably needed to strengthen for a while, centre-back?
Yeah, look, I'm glad you've moved on to some good news for Newcastle fans, because it's been a really tough transfer window after such a positive end to the year, finishing in those Champions League spots. To have this Alexander Isak saga just dragging on and dragging on even more as it is this morning. But yeah, Malik Thiaw, look, a centre-back is what's been something that Eddie Howe and Newcastle have been looking at now for over a year. If you remember, if we go back to last summer, they had offers up to £70 million rejected by Crystal Palace for Marc Guehi. They still tried to essentially sign him in January as well and couldn't get that deal over the line. So they've been looking at their centre-back options. If you look at the centre-backs they've got, Jamal Lascelles entering his final year of his contract, he's 31. Fabian Schär on that right-hand side, 33 now. He's done great. He's done a great job, actually, at centre-back for Newcastle, but he's coming to the end of his career. He's got 1 year left too. Malik Thiaw's a right-sided centre-half. He fits the bill very well. Young, 24 years old, 6'4", real physicality, played in Serie A, which is still can be quite a physical league as well over there. So look, I think it's a smart signing. It's something where they're looking to build their squad. There's something they still have to deal with, regardless of this Alexander Isak situation. They can't let it just stall their growth and stall their movements in the transfer window. They still have to look at all the other areas, and they're making that business work. So yeah, smart, sensible signing, it seems.
OK, some positivity for Newcastle. Mail are also reporting that Nottingham Forest have offered £11 million plus add-ons for the Monaco defender Songutu Magassa, and they're also looking at the Liverpool fullback Kostas Tsimikas. They have reportedly gone as far as making inquiries with Liverpool. Could be forced to consider selling their captain Marc Guehi this summer. In fact, I'm going to read you his exact comments. Very interesting, James. When asked whether they'd have to consider it, he said, "We'd have to, of course. For players of that calibre to leave on a free, it's a problem. No doubt about it, unfortunately." When you think of the Palace players that are coveted, the big ones, Guehi, Eze, Mateta, Adam Wharton, you put in there as well. Is Guehi, because of his contract situation, by far and away the most likely to leave?
Yeah, absolutely. I think first and foremost, you look at the contract situation, and for a club like Crystal Palace, as Steve Parish said in his very open comments, and I think adding to that, he said, but we're Crystal Palace. He's still trying to maybe, and talking about the fact they're not one of the big clubs yet. They are a smaller club. They have to do things slightly differently to what, say, your Liverpools, your Arsenals, Chelsea's, etc. are doing. So, yes, you look at the contract. You look at Marc Guehi and you go, well, hold on a minute. Last year, they rejected £65 million from Newcastle in the summer. I think they rejected a bid from Tottenham in January as well for the player. He's been there since 2021. He's been a key part of that side in consolidating them as a Premier League unit, as a strong Premier League club, able to compete in cup competitions, as we saw successfully last year. Big part of that team as a club captain, big part of the England setup now as well. Likely, you'd probably say England's number one centre-back right now, and expect him to be starting in the World Cup under Thomas Tuchel. But now's the time they've got to look and go, hold on a minute, can we afford to lose a player for free? Well, Steve Parish says, no, we can't. We can't afford to let a player go when his contract runs out. You have to look and go, OK, well, Marc Guehi's that player, that commodity, we're going to reluctantly have to let go. Then it's about options, isn't it? It's about where's his options.
Well, that's it. I mean, a lot of teams, I'd imagine, Jeff, would want him. You know, Newcastle wanted him in the past. They bid for him. It rejected a few times last year by Palace. Liverpool have been linked. Which top team do you think would Guehi best fit? What would be the best fit for him and for the club?
For the club, for Palace, whoever pays the most, of course. But no, for him as a player, it's going to be difficult because you look at a lot of the top clubs, they have a great centre-back pairing. So he's going to have to take that into consideration as well and see what's the best move forward for him. He's at a good age, he's had a lot of games under his belt, but like you were saying earlier, it's coming into a World Cup year. He needs to be playing every week, so it's a big decision for him.
Would he play every week at Liverpool if he went there?
He would get game time, of course, but you know the centre-back pairing there have been brilliant last year. They've got a lot of games, but he wants to play every week, so that's the difficult decision for him.
And I think that's where you have to look and go, well, hold on a minute, what are his options? Now, we know that the way these big clubs now are working, they're building stronger squads where they've got players in all positions where they can step in at any point and not make the team weaker. Now, adding Marc Guehi into a squad is going to make you stronger straight away. Liverpool, yes, with Konate and Van Dijk. Other options, Newcastle have always been interested. Tottenham have shown interest. Both have got pretty solid centre-back pairings at the moment. Chelsea could be an interesting one. His old club. Levi Colwell's picked up that unfortunate ACL injury. Even before that, there was still a lot of talk about Chelsea's need for strength in that centre-back option. Well, hold on a minute. You've got an England international, captain of his side, experience, also knows that club very well. Could that potentially be an option for him? First of all, he's not going to be short of options. He's a quality player, but it's pretty sad for Crystal Palace if they have to accept that their captain's going to be leaving at the end of the window.